pretty good riding career yourself, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. I was very fortunate to enjoy doing something I loved.
Oh, you were very good. You were very good.
I actually, it's interesting. Back in those days, it was when it was BHS and BHTA, so British Horse Trials Association, and you had to be 16. I remember that very clearly to event properly. And all I ever wanted to do was to event, but I wasn't old enough, and I'd sort of grown up, done all the pony club stuff, pony club teams. I'd won the Pony Club Senior Eventing Championships. Yeah. But I actually did an awful lot of dressage. I was actually on pony dressage teams, and I only went down the dressage route because at that point I wasn't old enough to event. Right. And I actually rode at Pre St George level when I was 12. So I'd done quite a bit of foundation on the flat. Yeah, no. So then finally, I remember the year they said that they were lowering the age to 15, so you could ride at what was pre-novice. Okay. I was so excited. I was like, yes, I can finally go proper eventing. Yeah. And, absolutely went on to ride on 2 junior and 2 young rider European teams. So
was eventing always what you wanted to do?
It was, absolutely. And I don't really know where that came from because my dad has never sat on a horse in his life. Completely non-horsey, still is completely non-horsey. My mum was horsey back in her day, but I mean, we're going back a very, very long time. Okay. And, there haven't been any horses on the scene for very many years. And actually, my mum and dad met playing tennis. They were both very good tennis players. Yeah. So I was supposed to pick up a racket and play tennis, and mum wasted lots of money on tennis lessons, which I wasn't even remotely interested in. Right. And all I wanted to do was ride. So they, they supported me with that and had first few lessons. And I think they were hoping that, it would sort of be a passing phase. And
yeah. So back in those early days, I mean, we all talk about the open the door moment. When was your breakthrough moment where maybe a coach or another rider said, well, come and do some work with me or whatever? Was there that moment with you?
Frankly, in terms of a breakthrough moment, I'm not sure, to be honest, because I always knew that that's what I wanted to do. Yeah. Yeah. When I was about 11 or 12, I had a dressage coach that took me on, a guy called Ronnie Britton. He actually died when I was 16, but he was very, very instrumental in those early years in my life. And although, he was an out-and-out dressage coach, he was a real horseman. And I think I took a lot of inspiration from that, certainly in those early years. Yeah. And then, like I said, I always knew I wanted to event. That was, that was where I had my sort of heart set. Yeah. But it was very self-driven. Right. I was a little bit the kind of, kid that lived in Devon, and we were a little bit at the end of the earth. I certainly didn't have a kind of obvious way in at that point. Yeah. No, I didn't. Yeah. And it's been a little bit like that, so, to be honest, throughout my life. Yeah, And actually, in terms of then when I sort of, when I stopped the competitive career and then, went into the organising front. Yeah. Again, I had to work very hard and fight quite hard to get what I thought I knew we could achieve. So, as you know, I worked at Clinton Devon Estates and ran Bicton for 8 years, and I saw such potential there. Yeah. When I first started that, I thought, my God, this could be something very, very special.
But that's still a massive deal, though, isn't it? To go from, you've been a very successful rider, okay, well, we'll park. Yeah. I'm just going to organise some major event in Devon. Yeah. So, I mean, it's pretty ballsy, isn't it?
It is, absolutely. And it was funny, actually, because that kind of came at a time in my life when I'd done my first Burley. I felt, I'd had a very successful junior young rider career. Yeah. I bought my first house when I was 21 and had that mortgage and had those commitments, and I'd ridden for some very loyal owners for many years, and I got to a point in my life where we all know how hard it is to make a living in this sport, and I didn't like being in a position where I was having to ride some perhaps not massively talented horses, and manage the sort of expectations of the owners. And I remember being in the start box one day at an event, and I was going intermediate on a particular horse, and I thought, oh gosh, I don't really want to be doing this today. And it was the first time ever And I always said, if you're in that start box and you have a negative thought, you should be doing it. And I set off, and lo and behold, I had quite a nasty fall, sort of second last, and I was lucky. I walked away, the horse walked away, but I got back in the lorry a bit battered and bruised and thought, I don't ever want to be in that position again. I knew in my heart, in my head, this isn't what I want to be doing forever. So I got home, and my mum, bless her, was alive then, and she had the Horse and Hound open, and she had put a circle around the job for the manager at Bicton.
Oh, wow.
And so she sort of shoved it my way and said, here you go, look, isn't it about time you got yourself a proper job? And I remember sort of looking at it and saying, but Mum, I've got no experience in, organising events. Or she said, well, you organised my 70th birthday and we had 100 people to that. You did that for everyone. Yes, Mum, that was quite what I was.
No horses involved.
No horses involved. But I went for it, and and it was interesting actually. It was very like being interviewed for MI5. I had 3 interviews. I then had to have psychometric tests. I had a telephone consultation with an external consultant. I mean, honestly, you'd think I was going for like this. And anyway, I
James Bond.
Yeah, totally. It was I remember actually, and it was funny because I was at badminton.
Okay.
I was at badminton and I was preparing the PowerPoint presentation for the final interview. And I hadn't told anyone that I was going for it. I hadn't told anyone or sort of any of the providers that I was thinking of doing this. And I remember sort of spending hours in the lorry finalising my PowerPoint presentation to get back and obviously go for the final interview for that.
Your Wi-Fi was up to it.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Bicton at that time, I mean, obviously, very well-known house in Devon, was it relatively horsey at all? Was there anything there?
So when I started, it had really died a bit of a death. Okay. It had fallen and sort of off the horizon a bit. Yeah. The years when I was growing up, it was huge. In the sort of 80s, 90s, it was a real go-to destination. Horse Trials it started in, I'm going to say, 77.
Okay.
And Southwest Show Jumping Club ran some very, very successful high-profile show jumping shows there. And then when the estate decided to build the estate offices at Bicton, it all changed because they bought everything in-house. Okay. So they decided strategically that rather than renting the place out to like Bicton Horse Trials Committee and Southwest Show Jumping, they would run it themselves. Okay. And for a few years it had definitely, lost its way a bit, which was very sad. And, as a Southwest competitor based down there, I missed it hugely. It was a big hole. And then, absolutely, when I went in, and then, to be fair, the estate had made significant investment in the facilities, so they'd put in all-weather surfaces, the infrastructure that was there. I thought, my God, this has got such potential, because its USP is that it's set in that Grade 1 listed parkland, but it's got the modern facilities. And I just looked at it and thought, God, we could do some really exciting things. Totally, totally. Yeah. We could do such exciting things with this. And bless them, Lord and Lady Clinton are so passionate about equestrianism, that they don't have to have it there, but, they absolutely love horses. They've always been a part of their life, and they want it there. And I thought, we could really, really get this back on the map. And, we went from running, sort of one BE event and a couple of show jumping shows the first year to, eventually running, 3 horse trials a year, 2 internationals, the show jumping shows with the Horse of the Year show qualifiers. And I think at our busiest show jumping show, one year we had 813 horses stabled on site.
Really?
Yeah.
Incredible.
So, I mean, it just exploded.
And you go all the way to 5-star.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was all a real...
You must have had a bit of a tear in the eye. That's a fairly iconic moment.
It was so, honestly, it was very, very iconic. And
you don't get there by accident, do you?
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Really don't.
You don't. And it was funny because when, I put my hat in the ring for the 4-star when Bramham, sadly couldn't run because of COVID. I thought, this is our chance. We can do this. We can showcase what we can do. And for me, that was obviously the first 4-star track I'd designed in the UK. I've designed 4-star in Ireland, but that was my first 4-star over here, and it was so amazing to just be able to concentrate on one track. All my life I've sort of had to design sort of 5, 6, 7 tracks at a time, and to just be able to focus on one track was just such a treat.
And rider feedback was great.
Oh, it was amazing. Yeah, it was amazing, and and it showed what can be done with a can-do attitude, and and I had no budget. I hadn't budgeted for that event. We had no advance expenses. But it just shows how resourceful you can be. And I'd spotted sort of various trees that were down around the estate and stumps that I thought, gosh, that would be really funky. And we're utilising all of that, and actually, utilising existing fences, but modifying them slightly, and by using them on bits of ground that make them more of a question.
Sure.
It was a proper 4-star. And after that, I thought, oh, that's it. I'd made the decision, and it was a really difficult decision, but I had at that point decided that I was going to take the British eventing job.
Right.
So that was my kind of swan song.
Yeah.
And then after that, people started saying, oh, run a 5-star, run a 5-star. And I was like, no, just not interested. We don't need to. That was it. But, and sort of momentum built, and I sort of found myself then, engaging in conversations with the FBI and doing a presentation to say, actually, can we run this as a one-off? And I honestly, when I first sort of, entered into that, thought, no way, we haven't got a hope in hell.
Yeah.
And then the more I sort of got down that road, I thought, no, actually, do you know what? We could really do this. Absolutely, we really could. The team I've got, etc. And it just shows what can be achieved.
Yeah.
When I had all 3 stakeholder groups, so we had the Eventing Riders Association, the EHOA, and the BOA,
Sure.
and it was something we all worked on together. And it just shows what can be achieved when everyone pulls together for a common goal.